Good morning. Good morning. It's Sunday, December 4th, 2022. Good morning, small wildflowers. I hope you've had a good week. Welcome, everybody. It is Sunday. Again, I repeat myself, and we're traversing the transits with me, Teri Hunter. So first of all, let me give you a little bit of business just so you know how the structure rolls here. Each one of these lives on Sunday is based on whole sign Western astrology. So you're going to start with your rising sign. So when I talk about Aries, I'm talking about Aries rising. And if I mention a house or I go around the zodiac, it's not based on your sun sign, it's your rising sign. Then I think the moon is on a par, if not more important than your rising sign, because humans by nature are emotional beings, and our emotions absolutely affect our perception of a situation and our experience of it. So, and then the sun. The sun is our identity, how we express ourselves out in the world, how people see us. So the rising is our perception, how we view the situation. The sun is how others interpret us. And if you have a stellium, which is 3 or more planets in one sign or house, specifically personal planets, that is a very strong focus of a soul's intention in this lifetime to address certain dynamics. So I'm going to quickly go over the aspects this week, but I'm not going to address the full moon in Gemini because I've done a separate video on that. So please check that out. I also did an overview of December if you want to take a quick peek at that. But the key things happening this week are, first we have Neptune turning direct. Neptune's been retrograde for a long time and stationed at 22 degrees for, I don't even remember how long, it seems like forever. And so this week, it's actually moving forward. And we had a full fog bank come in as I was getting ready. So I started laughing, thinking, well, of course, Neptune rules fog. So that's happening this week. I think that being a long-term planet, and in these last degrees of Pisces where it resides, where it holds court, the Lord of the Manor, I think this is really about deepening our connection with our inner being, deepening our connection with our expectations of connecting with the divine while inhibiting and inhabiting a human body, because it's very human to feel like meditation is noisy. What does Neptune rule? Meditation. So I want to start to offer you guys to play to your strengths. If you're Aries rising and you're super energetic and athletic, you might find running is a really great way to meditate. If you're a water bearer and yet you still have some mind busyness, you might want to sit in the bathtub a little bit and let yourself soak a little bit and not try so hard to and start to play with that a little bit. I think it'll really help you master what Neptune has to offer in these last few degrees of Pisces. And I also think that it's a way of rewriting how we view this planet, because oftentimes things are foggy, they're unclear. We see things kind of through rose-colored glasses, but it also rules dance and poetry and music and creativity and imagination. So using these as tools to connect with your inner being will really help you traverse some of the other transits, because this week, Mercury and Neptune, they've been traveling together for quite some time. And first, Mercury will move into Capricorn. And then at the end of the week, Venus will move into Capricorn. Mercury moves in on Wednesday, the same day as the full moon, which is also D-Day, historic day here in the United States. And they will both square Jupiter for a few days as they make their transit. And we are brewing for Mercury to go retrograde at the end of the month. So I think you may feel a very palatable change in the energy, because these two planets in Sagittarius are having a heck of a lot more fun. It's going to get more somber, more sober, as these planets move into Capricorn and make their way through that sign. We also have the Sun in Sag making a square to Mars retrograde. And this is going to happen while we are experiencing that full moon. So the few days before and after, I guess that's obvious now that I think about it. How silly of me. But I want to offer it this way because the Mars retrograde, we're seeing a lot of impulsive behaviors. We're seeing a lot of unnecessary, over the top, maybe exaggerated assertion, aka aggression out in the world. People are feeling pulled back. They're feeling like they're being, tethered. And so when they get a moment to race forward, they're really kind of moving at a pace that they're not even present for. So if you are mindful during this period of time, I feel like you can start to write your story very differently than how it could initially be perceived. Oftentimes we associate Neptune with loss, with erosion, with storms out in the sea, with addiction. And the flip side of that is a real connection with your inner being, with source energy, with the laws of the universe that help you master traversing these opportunities that also have obstacles within them, because the human does not truly feel empowered conceptually. The human needs to feel that experience. So this week, if you feel a little bit tethered, allow yourself to give yourself a break. Maybe you do play with some creativity, what Neptune and Venus would probably enjoy a little frivolity, although I doubt highly she'll let that happen. She may be very focused on money this week. Squaring Pisces, she may be push-pull between wanting to really enjoy the holidays and spend money. Oh, it'll all be okay. It'll all be okay. And then this underbelly of anxiety about it. So be mindful there. That's all I'm going to really say about the transits this week. As I said, I did a separate video on the full moon in Gemini. I do think that moon is going to illuminate choices for us. I think having it be conjunct Mars is really, really a time when our awareness and our consciousness and our ability to make a choice in the midst of potential chaos is a word I might use, is really going to help. It's going to help ease the tension. And it also trusts that inner knowing as well. Take the brave side of Mars. Welcome back, Stephen. We missed you last week. Welcome, Lucy Rose. Good to see you. Jay Sean, nice to see you. I missed somebody. Somebody else came in the room. Let me see who's here. Hi, Gita. Good to see you. Natalia, Scarred Al, welcome. Thank you for saying hi to Lucky. Flamingo 2. Vasilia, welcome, welcome. All right, I'm going to go jump into our readings. We're going to start with Sagittarius and work our way around the zodiac. This is the new order of business. The birthday month is the month we start with, and then we're working our way around. So everybody gets to be first at some point. All right, so let's start with our tarot card for Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, the very intuitive high priestess. This is a very powerful energy, the connection to this moon. And I want to offer it this way because full moons are the culmination, the illumination of something. And I think in this moment, there is the potential that some illumination may be coming, more related to those pomegranates that are surrounding the high priestess right now. Are you taking in your ability to create physical wealth? Are you allowing it in? Are you having, I almost feel like I'm getting this hit that Sagittarius, having Venus squaring Jupiter could very much make you going back and forth. Like I have all this talent and I have all this knowledge and I have all this abilities. And, I have these ideas that I can actually make good money and I can take care of myself and I can actually help others. And then you get, oh no, can I or can't I? Now let's think that Venus is going to move into Capricorn. This may be where we see your intuitive part of yourself collide with your more physical part of yourself. And Spirit is saying, pay attention to the moon, meaning your inner body. Pay attention to your intuitions. Trust your ability to create. See yourself as Abraham would say, that you're ready to receive inspiration that will take you to the next door opening. So I really think this is super important. Let's get some clarification with the angels, because I do think that when Venus and Mercury enter Capricorn and they creep towards Pluto, I'm having visions of 2020, and while I don't think it's going to play out exactly the same way, I do think we're going to see restrictions and rules, maybe new mask mandates. I don't know, but it feels a little funky because Venus and Mercury get all the way. Mercury gets up to 24 degrees, and I think at that point Pluto's at 27 degrees. So they're all in a tight conversation, and we know Pluto's anchoring in because Pluto's a slow-moving planet. So then Mercury is going to go back into Capricorn, and then it's going to make another meeting before it crosses over. So this is a pivotal time to be aware. And this is maybe why I started this idea with allowing your meditations to evolve to something that's natural to you. I find oftentimes that people are frustrated in meditation because they're trying to quiet the mind. It's a muscle. It doesn't really do that. So again, I want to offer Sagittarius to connect with your inner being. You may want to move out of your physical body, or meaning move your physical body, take a walk, look for how nature is speaking to you. You may even want to listen to music or do art of some kind. So our first angel for Sagittarius is Chantal, the angel of romance. The second is Desiree. The third is Azure, and the final is Rochelle. So I really am intuitively feeling like this Sagittarius energy and what's going on is really about connecting inside of yourself and what your deepest desires are and your ability to manifest them. And, you know, the thing about when we get an inspired idea, oftentimes what happens is we get into the how will it happen. And I think we're better served sometimes when we're feeling that inspiration to dig into the inspiration and start with, wow, when this happens, it's going to feel like this. It's going to feel easy. Doors are going to open effortlessly. I'm going to be really ready to receive all this stuff. Okay, Chantal's being joined by the spider. Desiree's being joined by the earth fairy. Azure's being joined by the bee, and Rochelle's being joined by the dragon. I want to say this coming week for Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, there is Chantal represents romance and love, but I don't think it's love like of another person as much as I think it's love of your network, love of what you're doing, love of the vision that you have for yourself that is still in process. It's still being manifested. And I think that if this particular week, as Mercury, the planet of your thinking, the planet of your speaking, and Venus, the planet of your self-worth and your money, both move into a more restrictive energy of Capricorn, rather than trying to anchor in some kind of structure this week, because it's not a good time. Desiree says that conditions are not favorable. And then there's the earth fairy. And I think this is really about trying to anchor something into the ground, that first you'll be better served and you will have good luck when you really go into that movement meditation. I really want to offer it that way to you. Movement, almost a celebratory movement. This is the bee. The bee represents good luck, but it represents my attitude, my disposition. Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. The final position for Sagittarius is Rochelle. As you honor and follow the guidance of your heart is your inner being. And then the dragon says, and then remain calm. Your power lies in your ability to remain calm. This is where the laws of the universe get a little tricky because, we all talk about attracting things. And the most vulnerable thing you will ever experience is actually attracting what you've been wanting for so long. It immediately triggers fear for many people. So this is a really, really good week during this full moon to really release any beliefs that you might have that you don't deserve, that you have to effort for something, and allow your your inner being, your intuition to blossom in what appears to be mundane ways. You may get the feeling, oh, I need to call this person, or oh, I want to make this kind of soup, and that draws you to the market, and you just don't know what's going to happen. And I think this is part of this journeying of awareness, of being present in the moment, so that you can really start to feel the voice of your inner being more succinctly and more strongly. And in doing so, it will isolate you from some of the fears that might come up during Venus and Mercury's sojourn through Capricorn. So Sagittarius, I think this is a beautiful week for you. If it is your birthday, happy birthday. I forgot to mention that. Enjoy your solar return. Set an intention, All right, let's go on. Our next beautiful sign are our goats, our little goats. I don't know if you guys have been paying or if you've been getting the notifications, but I did a whole bunch of Abraham quotes, which are being distributed throughout the, every other day or so, in addition to the videos I did. And I'm going to start to put videos out that'll give you exercises to help you focus. So like, for instance, when it comes to Sagittarius and this high priestess, when I see those pomegranates popping out of me, it's almost like I feel like, oh, I should take a minute and write down not the actions I'm going to take, but again, how does it feel once I feel inspired into action, I feel confident, and then the allowing of it. It's easy, it flows, I trust it. Everything's working out for me. You don't have to get too specific. These broad terms will help your humanness anchor into the thoughts that will serve the law of attraction and then the law of allowing. And then you're like rocking. Thanks, Flamingo 2. All right, everybody. We're going on to our Capricorns. I know I say it and then I talk for another 10 minutes. I don't know how I do it, but I just always do it. The Queen of Wands. Talk about inspiration, Capricorn. I have truly, truly been feeling that Capricorns that have been present and accounted for in their life are no longer being gripped by fear, but seeking the wisdom within fear. Seeking that, if I'm feeling depressed, which Capricorn can rule, Saturn rules it. Why am I depressed? You know what? Maybe it's because I'm not following my heart, but I'm really following what's expected of me. And this has been Pluto's gift to you as it has moved through your sign. And in these last degrees, I think about my chart is just like, if you can find a blue line in my chart right now, I'm telling you, you're heaven sent, because everything is red lines all over the place, oppositions and squares. And Pluto's been having a field day with me. And at the same time, I'm so willing to say, what am I pretending not to know? What is the deeper truth of my heart? And going deeper and deeper into what I really need and want and where I've been imprinted. So, because I really think, Capricorn, you're coming into a place of inspiration where you're going to start to behave in ways that are very different than you used to, because your structure is starting to change, how you view things. And I think this is beautiful, because this is where your leadership skills show up. This is where you build in the material world and people say, wow. And when people say, how did you do that? You said, I believed in myself. I didn't doubt myself anymore. I was willing to take the time. The tortoise versus the hare. Thank you, DJ. I really love my tree. I sit at night and I just look at it and I think it's so beautiful. It makes me very happy. It's probably going to be up till well into January. It's so funny. Okay, here we go. Capricorn, our first angel is Vanessa, faith or fear. Love it. Archangel Gabriel is talking about your communication, your self-talk. There's Maya, the angel of schooling and education. And then there's Adriana. Oh, this full moon is going to be so interesting for you. It is. It really is. And, I think that sometimes, Lucy, the believing part is we don't give ourselves credit for the journey of belief. We think we just need to flip on a dime, and humans are always trying to get to the destination, the perfection, the happiness, but really it's the journey of it. And that's the great thing about being older, is you start to realize that the destination is usually kind of anticlimactic. What is the real tail wag, the real excitement is the tenacity to continue to move forward, the tenacity to not take no for an answer. Okay, Vanessa's being joined by the creative and the network, your people. Vanessa's saying, Capricorn, are you going to base your decisions on what other people think, faith or fear, or your own personal inspirations? This is also all our fire signs. So this is also very Leo energy. Leader, your self-expression, your enjoyment. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the forgiveness card. Maya's being joined by the wealth card, and Adriana is being joined by the fire fairy. So the Archangel Gabriel talks about your self-talk. She talks about having a divine life's mission, and that would be what this inspiration is. And I think the divine life's mission is not about building something like in the structure for other people to see, but to rewrite you to you, to turn the Saturnian energy from oppressing and obligatory and dutiful to your lane of what you love. And then you take all those talents of being able to endure the pain and you rock. And that's what the forgiveness card is about. This to me is a card that says reconciliation. I've been through a negative experience and now I can reconcile in my mind why I had to walk through it, because ultimately I became more powerful. I became more wealthy. I let go of fears, or I started to seek the wisdom and the benefit in fear. So what does Maya represent for my Capricorn? Schooling and education, about how to create harmonious wealth, about your faith in your ability to make a relationship with yourself and to leave other people aside for right now. Because once you've been able to blossom a bit, then they'll understand a little bit more. Or if they don't understand, you'll feel better about them not understanding, because you'll be like, well, look, this is what I'm choosing for me. And as I choose these small little steps towards my happiness, I'm actually a more enjoyable person for you to be around. Because here's Adriana leading you to the answers to your prayers through your meditations, through your intuitions, through your inspirations. And the inspirations, you can't think them through. It's almost like this allowing your mind to take a walk, to do diamond art, to sit in a bath and not, be functional anywhere, gives you an opportunity to have your mind be creative. And that's what this is being offered. This goes right back. We start in the same energy. There's a lot of inspiration coming for you. And maybe for Capricorns, as Mercury and Venus enter your sign, you start to think more about, what do I want in the way of, and not self-worth, but now what makes me feel cozy and comfortable? What do I love about my house? What do I love about, the things that I enjoy? Everybody has their routines. And I feel like there's this opportunity for you to look at the difference between where you've gotten into a ritual of some kind based on some place somewhere else, and then what's current in today. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. Our tarot card is the Wheel of Fortune. Now, this is an interesting card because it is, you never know whether you're going up or down, and you always have to look at what's paired with this card. But I do want to offer this because we have Mars in Gemini. Mars in Gemini is really, really, going to be a warrior's mind. Resentments can come up, anger can come up. This full moon could, as we push on the holidays, could really bring something that's making things bubble up, inside of you. But I want to offer this because that Sphinx is sitting at the very top of the wheel. And all of the other elements in the corners represent the four astrological elements, right? The water, the air, blah, blah, blah. And I know I could get into the thinking, blah, 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 but I want to offer it this way because at the very top, the Sphinx is holding that sword. Everything comes down to your thoughts. It doesn't matter what the transits are doing. It doesn't matter what's trending on Yahoo. It doesn't matter the political environment. It doesn't matter the conditions outside of yourself. What matters is your connection to your thoughts. And if indeed your thoughts are connected to situations that are disempowering you, this is a really good time to use your Aquarian energy and be a little rebellious and say, you know what? I don't need to experience that just because everyone else is. One of the things, there's been slavery throughout countries around the world. I personally have studied more American history. I'm an American person. And I was fascinated to learn that there were free African Americans back in the 1700s and the 1600s. Samuel Ball, I believe his name was, lived on Oak Island. He was one of the most wealthy African Americans. He was a cabbage farmer. And I believe that it all comes to a certain vibration, and that those souls that incarnated in those physical attributes and dynamics were able to represent a different element, a different vibration. So I really wish we talked more, not to negate the dark side or to negate the horrific things that people did to each other, but when we as individuals plug into our own vibration, we literally say, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to focus on, then the universe starts to bring those inspirations, those dynamics, those keys, those elements in, and then your job is to follow them. Welcome, just call me C. Welcome to the room. All right, here we go. Aquarius, right? Let's see where our wheel is falling this week. We know Saturn is transiting your house, coming up on my Chiron again. But now I'm thinking I'm turning that thing into the gift, man. I'm tired of the wound. Okay. Our first angel for Aquarius is Opal. The second is Ariel. The third is Francesca. And the final is Vanessa. Okay, Opal is being joined by the dog. Ariel's being joined by the king. Francesca's being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. And Vanessa's being joined by the raven. Okay, so first thing I want to say is that when it comes to this Wheel of Fortune, I think what they're saying is that your wheel is about to turn and change. And part of this is for you to allow for the cycle, because the dog, while it represents unconditional love, it also represents loyalty. And Opal represents God and the angels taking over and watching over your children, that they are safe and loved in heaven and earth. So let me offer it this way, Aquarius, because the soul never dies. The human vessel does perish. It does move on, but ultimately our consciousness continues over and over again, and we choose to come into this experience. And so now I think that for you to really take advantage of the wheel, it's about knowing that it isn't your turn to move anything. It's your turn to be loyal to your desires, what you love, what you want, and be sincere with yourself about it rather than trying to dumb it down in any way. Because now there's something going on in the universe that is putting the pieces together for you to take the next step. And here we go. This is the evidence of it. The king can represent male energy, but it represents justice. It represents karma, things pertaining to the law. And here we have Ariel saying new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and your physical experience. So here, something is coming into play that you have already been teeing up energetically. And now it's your job to allow the universe to justly bring it into your experience, because as you're aware of what you're visualizing, Francesca says, if you visualize negativity, it's gonna trip you up. You won't be able to feel the positivity or the things that are coming in, because it feels like it comes in little bits, like Hansel and Gretel. You're going to have to follow a little bit of the breadcrumbs before the big enchilada comes, because there's the birth and the rebirth card that is being offered, and you're getting an opportunity to have a rebirth from what you have been feeling was what you've been working on. So start your life over again. And I want to offer it this way. When I say over again, I mean it in such a way that you're learning how to understand the ebb and the flow of the wheel. Here is Vanessa. Now is a time to implement your faith, because there's magic afoot. And this magic is now something that comes because of all the work you've done. This raven is sitting on the bones of the skull. And so you've picked your thoughts clean. There's nothing left. Now is a time to synchronistic events, magic, timing. The universe is working for you. So I want to offer it this way. Again, I think we're all going to feel all of a sudden when Mercury and Venus move into Capricorn, I think we're all going to feel a little bit more reserved, to say the least. So now I feel like that's where you just have to stay the course, be patient, be aware of the ebb and the flow, and then do things that distract yourself from worry, and not, because that, you have that nervous system thing going on. You rule the nervous system, and you could bunch yourself up by getting too far down the road of what ifs. Okay. All right. On to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I've made salmon recently that was so delicious. I can't even tell you. I bought it at this little market across the street versus the big market. And it's wild caught salmon. And usually that's a little fishy for me. But oh my goodness, so delicious. And you should see Lucky just sit and stare at me when he smells it cooking. He stares at me my whole meal. And of course, I give him a little at the end. He loves it. Okay, Pisces, here we go. The Page of Wands. This is a really interesting card. We saw the Queen earlier. So this is a little bit more of a youthful energy. It's a little bit more of it's very much like Aries for me, because it's just this idea. It's an infusion. It's an inspiration. Nothing is solid yet. Everything is still bubbling around in your imagination. And the imagination here, I can't help but focus on the hat a little bit, like it feels very mercurial. So I almost feel as if there's the potential that as your ruling planet is now starting to go direct, you may feel a spike in your creativity. You may feel like almost as if where you felt held back, you may feel like a champagne cork has popped and things are starting to flow. Let's see what they want you to know about this. Because I think there's a little, as I look at the card, the page, I feel as if there's like a first draft. So if you were dancing, writing, choreographing something, taking photography, the first parts of it that you do feel as if they themselves bring you other inspirations. Like you build on it. Hey, Lammy girl from Maine. Oh my gosh. So are you near the Lost Kitchen? Are you near Freedom? I so want to go to Maine and go to that restaurant. It's the only place in the world. You are? Oh, you lucky thing, you. Did you send your postcard in? I love that show. It'll be recording sometime this afternoon. It's one of my favorite shows. I don't know why. I just love that woman, Erin French. She's so inspiring. I'd like to see her chart. Okay, Pisces. Let's see what's going on. Our first angel is Chantal. The second is Aurora. The third is Omega. And the final is Yvonne. Ah, it just seems dreamy to me. I'm pretty sure if I lived in Maine, I would not move out of my house for months when it was cold. But boy, when the springtime hits and all those yummy farms they have, oh, beautiful. So let's see if love is in the air for our Pisces. Chantal and the deer are being joined together. Aurora and the joy card. Omega and the restriction card. Yvonne and Merlin. This is so interesting to me because as I look at this, Pisces kind of oftentimes, even when we talk about the high side, the more beautiful energies of Pisces, it still feels a little bit like a double-edged sword. Pisces is compassionate. So you think about it, well, if they're compassionate, then they must be putting up with something that feels nasty. Or if I don't know. I just feel like sometimes even the good news feels a little bit trying. And I want to offer it this way because I think maybe there is a little romance coming up or something that you really love, something that really makes you feel your Pisces energy, that the high vibrational parts of it, the parts of it that are hopeful and looking forward to the future. And I want to offer it this way because be gentle with yourself right now. Be gentle with this journey of accepting good things happening. I think maybe this tribe, rather than trying to kick in the laws of attraction anymore, maybe it's now the law of allowing. It's almost as if you already know you're going to attract what you want. Now I want to be ready to receive it and trust that when it comes in, it's not going to slip through my hands. Because that is the place where I find most people are the most scared, is when they find something they love. Whether, I've told you before, the first 10 years until Lucky bit me, I loved him with a bubble of fear that he could feel. And now that I don't fear losing him anymore, he's a better dog. And he was always a good dog, but he's more affectionate. And now I realize there was a part of me that was sending him a weird energy. Because Aurora says, you're flying high right now, Pisces, don't descend. You will soon inspire others by your example of joy. And then here we have Omega saying that there's victory ahead. And I want to offer it this way because the restriction card feels a little bit like it's about taking a pause so I can actually take in the victory. This is a very gentle journey that you get to have of healthy boundaries with other people, other things that you love, while allowing them to blossom in your life. Because here is Yvonne, and this is all about vulnerability. And this is about vulnerability to what you are making magically for yourself. Merlin represents balance, justice, and alchemy. Alchemy is the taking a semi-precious metal and making it a precious metal. So here, I think with the page starting off, the Page of Wands, there's the beginning of something new. The fire signs rule romance a bit, Leo, and we know that Mars is quite sexually charged by nature. So being gentle with yourself as you allow for this journey of either rediscovery of romance that's already existing, or a new romance starts, or for those of you like me that are single and don't really anticipate another relationship, then enjoying things that you do. I will tell you, Lammy girl, I literally saved the Lost Kitchen for the end of Sunday. And then I make my dinner, which is never going to be as good as what she makes. And then I watch the show and I love it. So it doesn't have to be anything earth shattering, but those little things really build up to be something earth shattering in a good way. All right. Let's go on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We know Jupiter's going to be creeping back into your sign towards the end of the month. And this is going to be very interesting because it's going to go right over my south node in Aries before it hits my ascendant. TJ, I love the way this woman talks about food. I just, it's amazing. And she's so much tenacity. I feel Taurus energy all over her very much. And at the same time, there's like, I wish I knew her chart because I feel like she's very earth and water for some reason. All right, Aries, you have pulled the Seven of Swords. This is a very, very interesting card because it's all about going your own way. It's all about taking your swords, leaving behind what you can't carry, and leaving behind the herd. Now, there's a little bit of sass on this guy. I got to tell you. He's sort of looking back. We see his red hat. We see his red feet. So there's a little bit of, I'm not quite sure all those swords are his, but in any case, he's claiming them. But so let's see where Spirit is saying it's time to go on your own. It's time to potentially leave things behind that you don't need anymore or are not necessary for this next chapter or journey. And now we can go back to this full moon, illuminating it's right next to your ruling planet. So there's I expect this to be a very emotionally charged moon. And for people who are not conscious or don't study astrology, they can be very reactionary. Those of us that are conscious and study astrology could still be reactionary. But I still think that somewhere this Seven of Swords is calling upon Aries to be wise in using their sword, to start to perpetrate those heroic energies versus that knee-jerk energy. All right. Our first angel for Aries is Athena. It's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Then we have Merlina, which we'll see if it's about confusion. I always kind of disagree with that. She's a magician. Why would she be confused? Isabella's about, yes, something is coming up. And then there's Vanessa. All right, Aries, here we go. This is me. And I got to tell you, I feel like one of my challenges lately is that the universe has been giving me signs that my back is being covered, that everything I need, as I feel like things are dwindling, something comes in at the 11th hour every time. And I think this is partially what I have to start to catch up on, that maybe my own point of attraction is so wobbly that I'm the cog in the wheel. All right. Athena's being joined by the wealth card. I think I've been the cog in the wheel to my own wealth. Okay. Merlina is about the network. Isabella is about reconciliation or being joined by forgiveness. And Vanessa's being joined by the restriction card. Okay. I think for my Aries people, I really think your ruling planet being retrograde, spending so much time in the sign of thinking, speaking, writing, teaching, how you view your siblings, how you view your participation in your community. It's really time for you to lovingly assert yourself mentally in a new direction. And I love the idea of harmonious wealth. Harmonious wealth to me makes me feel like it covers all the bases, covers my physical needs, the resources I need to make sure my bills are paid, my relationships feel harmonious, my body feels good, all the areas of physical life, the human experience are going well. So Athena's saying to lovingly assert yourself. You don't need to assert yourself in a way where you have to win over everybody. I think it's really not even about agreement as much as it's about expression, how you express yourself. Because here we have the network card. We have this, I see that web, and I think this is your community. These are the people you're going to interact with. Jupiter's coming back into Aries shortly, the 23rd, as I said, I think it is. And then Mars is still retrograding. So ideas could start bubbling up. You want to move forward, and yet there's this pullback. So I think the magic is in trusting the divine timing to open up the network, because Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for a pause right now. And I want to offer it this way, because I think the pause is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? I remember working with somebody a while back, and they tended to have a very blunt way of speaking with their coworkers. And while they were very efficient at getting the job done, the coworkers really weren't team players with this person because they didn't like the way they talked to them. So Aries, I think that's what this is all about. And I think this is giving you an opportunity to trust that if you don't push on something, if you don't try to make it happen with too much assertion, the universe will offer you opportunities to slide right in. Because I personally believe that right now, I know I said the same thing, Lammy girl, when someone said that to me. I want to be right and happy. But first I have to be happy, and then I can be right. Because Vanessa really is about faith. And then there's the restriction card. And this is about, to me, taking conscious action. You know, sometimes if somebody's slow or somebody's, dragging their feet, Aries will push around them, and then they'll inadvertently alienate them, or they'll piss them off, and then you need them later, and it's so annoying. So I just feel like this is really about being mindful of how you approach things, especially knowing what we know going on in the stars, and trusting a little bit more. Trusting the bigger picture. When I say that, I don't mean trusting something outside of ourselves, trusting your own natal chart. Okay, I put this opportunity, AKA challenge right now in my mind. I'm fighting with myself, but I must have agreed on some level that I know from a deep soul level that this is an illusion. This challenge is an illusion. This block is an illusion. This disruption is an illusion that's really here to serve me. And as I connect to that, I have a much broader opportunity to experience bounty on this planet. So that's what you ask yourself. Your Venus at 13 degrees Aries, that's cool. That you're like a peaceful warrior. That's what I would think that is. Okay, on to our Taurus. Okay, Taurus. Don't panic. This is a Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is a lot of drama. It's overkill. So I want to offer this because all the swords are always going to represent thought. They're going to represent the process of thinking. When we get to the 8, 9, and 10, we're looking at mutable air, which is Gemini. So I want to offer this way. This moon coming up may appear to bring drama. You've got the North Node is at 13 degrees Taurus, and Uranus is at 15 degrees retrograde. They got a little bit away from each other, and now they seem to be creeping back towards each other. There may be something that happens for Taurus. It's like, I'm ready to move forward. I've got clarity, and somehow something ends unexpectedly. The full moon may bring something unexpectedly. Let me think for a second. If you're a Taurus rising, Gemini is your second house. I want to offer this. If for some reason something happens in that second house that feels dramatic, it could bring up, your self-worth within your position. How much do I really value myself? And if that takes place, just slow down. Don't push on it, because you may find it may pop something. It may actually bring something into your consciousness that actually lets you get over something historic, or compartmentalize something historic. Yeah, it is a card of overkill. I mean, this is the thing where you're like, okay, why are you wasting all your swords trying to just continually, this feels like you're beating a dead horse. To me, it really feels like that. I'm a fixed Taurus moon, because Taurus is fixed. I can argue with people that are dead. My dad, I can argue with him still in my mind. It's overkill. It's done. I don't need to put my focus there anymore. Okay. Daniel, the angel of marriage. Bridget, asking us to look deeper. Isaiah's talking about new beginnings, and Xana's talking about protection. Now, the thing about Daniel is that, on the face of the card, it talks about marriage, but the depth of the card is about the history you have in relationships. So there could very well be a very dramatic full moon for you this week, as we also see Venus moving into Capricorn, bringing a somber energy, Mercury bringing, going into Capricorn. Both are going to square Jupiter at some point during this week. So your beliefs may end up coming into play. And, some of them may feel like they're being beaten to death. And, you're going to have to make a choice for you. And I want to offer it this way because, we talked earlier about, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Well, I could be right all day long about my parental experience. It doesn't mean if I still chew on it that I'm going to be happy. Because if I'm still chewing on what happened there, and my dad's long dead, my real mother is so what crazy that I wouldn't get near her for the last 40 years. So she doesn't count. And if I think about I literally bitched about my parental experience last night. I hated it, but I saw myself doing it, but I still couldn't stop the words from coming out of my mouth. So that's where I'm going. Somewhere, Taurus, we got a lot. Free yourself from your history, because this is about choice. And that's the challenge with the fixed signs. I think I learned it from Molly McCord. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure it was her. She said the fixed signs are fixed because they're stuck between the first, within each quadrant, right? There's 3 signs. So you've got that inspiration in Aries, then Taurus is right there in the middle. And then before we're changing quadrants, we've got this 3rd house. So there's this stuckness. So you're going to have to sort of start to choose, really, do I want to go back there again? How does this serve me anymore? Because you're not going to feel any better. Look at Bridget. Bridget's asking you to look deeper into your emotional body. And if you're trying to make historic energies, things that have already happened, if you're trying to extract an apology from somebody, or you're trying to have someone else show up so you can be happy, you're going to be on a slippery slope, because Isaiah is talking about giving birth to new ideas, and there's the queen. And I think this is about just, when I say let it go, I don't mean that you can forget about it, but you can decide whether or not it serves where you want to live. And if you want to feel like a queen, it's time for a new beginning, because Xana is offering Taurus a new vibration of protection and inspiration. And that's where I think in some respects, this Uranus going through Taurus is fabulous. It's going to break up these old structures. And in some ways, if those structures have not really served you, because if you have structures in your life that are serving you and you enjoy them, the universe is not going to break those up. We have to think about the law of attraction. It's not actually a conscious thing. It's like, it's more like gravity. It's just the law of the universe. What goes up must come down. What we put conscious thought in and focused thought in, we create into our experience. So now is a time really to say, you know what? I experienced that, and I just dropped my rose quartz heart. Sorry. I can't change it. And if I can't change it, then the only thing I can really do is choose how much I think about it. And at this point, it's dead. It's over. And I choose something else. And now I'm going to start to rock that Uranus going through my sign. I'm going to start to liberate myself and move on. I think it's just concentrated effort. My brain is so imprinted. It's so amazing to me. And sometimes I have literally thoughts, and I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And why won't it go away? And I want to say this, just the consciousness of saying, I want to be available to understand. You may still not understand, but at least you're opening the space. And every time you open a space, you build momentum there. And when you start to build momentum, then the law of attraction kicks in. And then the next layer is the law of allowing. And when we've been struggling for a higher vibrational experience, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we get to say, you know what? I am ready to receive, and allow those things to come in. Because oftentimes when we feel the higher vibrations, there's a kind of a knee-jerk reaction of loss. Okay, here we go. Gemini, 7 of Wands. Gemini, this is your full moon coming up. And I want to offer this. This is a card of self-defense, and there's really nothing to defend. And I think the way the guy's legs are positioned and the color of his tights tell me that this is his sacral chakra. He has his feet, he's trying to balance some emotional thing, that little stream that's sitting under. And if you look at that one foot, this foot over here looks like it could step off the cliff. There's something here that feels as if I'm defending myself, but I really don't need to defend myself. I don't know if these are my allies or my enemies. So I need to reposition myself into something more comfortable, meaning get my foot a little closer inland instead of on the edge there. Let's see where we're going with this. Because with Mars going through your first house, essentially, you could be fighting with your sense of self, with who you want to be, what you want to be, how you want to express yourself, the viability of that. You could feel totally annoyed that things haven't moved forward, or you could be really annoyed because people keep pigeonholing you back into an old version of yourself. All of a sudden, I got the vision of your siblings saying, "You're always like that." And you think to yourself, I'm only like that when I'm around you because you trigger me to be like that. And that's when I have to be law of attraction, be like, okay, if you're triggering me like that, then I get to rewrite me. And maybe I get to put a little distance over here while I do that. Because sometimes that's the best route. I really don't think banging around on a problem solves it. I don't. Okay, Gemini. Our first angel is Yvonne, my angel of vulnerability. The second is Fiona, now that you ask God and the angels for help. The third is Serena, money, money, money. And the final is Adriana. I think that the Gemini is getting an opportunity to rewrite their workday. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in a way where you're getting to feel more joy from it. Let's see. Yvonne is being joined by the letting go card. Fiona is being joined by the cow. Serena is being joined by the butterfly. And Adriana is being joined by the fear card. You know, if I didn't know better, I would say that there was Geminis out there that were doing jobs that they just don't like. Or they've done them for so long. They're sick of the people. They're sick of the places. They're sick of the annoying rules, regulations, the small-mindedness. You know, there's a guy at my market. Okay. I'm in there freaking 20 times a day. I bring my own bag 99.9% of the time. And if I go in his checkout and I've inadvertently forgot my bag, he literally charges me a dime. I don't think he should charge me. I feel like he should be like, oh, it's fine. You know, but he's a little nitpicker. So this is where I'm going with Gemini. You may be in an environment right now, people nitpicking and rule, you know, don't defend yourself. I think this is about being vulnerable to this idea of starting to flesh out what you want. You guys who've been with me for a long time know that this is the song Let It Go from Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. You're free because you have focus. So now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receive, because there's abundance, nourishment, asking and receiving from the universe. Here's an opportunity. This is like Pluto. The caterpillar died, Pluto, but look what blossomed. A serenity about money and about resources, and for it to come to you. And now what you're learning, which is what the letting go card is, that fear that you have is in some ways turning into false evidence appearing real, and allowing yourself to work with the universe, with God, with the angels, with source energy, with all that is. And in this moment, your job in some ways is to get off the defending yourself. Now, let's say you're defending yourself not to other people, but you're defending holding yourself small. I got bills to pay, man. I got kids to take care of. I got responsibilities. I can't afford to just willy-nilly go try to be blah, blah, blah. That's viable. But there's also that twin element where you can start to put some gas on a dual lane. So you start to let your job or whatever you do to make money right now hold one position while you allow yourself to be more vulnerable to a bigger idea of what'll make you happy. And you just slowly take little steps to nurture that. And the first thing you nurture with is in your mind. How will it feel when I experience that? I've been trying to build this YouTube channel, and I've had some really weird algorithm ups and downs, right? And the more bunched up I've gotten, and I got to tell you, I can literally see the transits. It started in July when Saturn got near my Chiron. We already know about all the squares, and I started to feel like this, and it literally started manifesting in my world. And so I've been more gentle with myself. I've been more, okay, this is part of the human experience. So how does it feel when everything starts working out? It feels safe. That's the first place I went. So Gemini, I think the very first thing is you say, thank you, angels, for helping me to feel safe. And then you just allow yourself to sort of focus in on that. And once you feel a little like your feet are solid on the ground, yeah, I feel safe. I feel safe in my thoughts. Then you can start planting the seeds for other things. This full moon, I think, is super important for Gemini. So let's look to see, it may not bang on the day, but something is going to transpire over the next 6 months. It's probably going to really flip the script in some way. Okay. Alrighty. On to our Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, here is our tarot card, the Two of Swords. This is a very Libra energy. So there is a sense of precarious balance, uncomfortable balance. We see this woman, these swords feel so much bigger than her body. I would imagine they weigh like 50 pounds each. So she's really got a decision to make, and she doesn't know what to do. And the thing about this particular energy is that there's the moon above, and it seems so almost like it could just come down and go on her head. And I feel like for my Cancers, this Two of Swords is asking you to try to close your eyes. Try to be, not to hold the weight of your thoughts, but to allow your intuition to lead you, your heart to lead you, a deeper energy. Again, when we're talking about a sign that rules a nurturing, and that's what Cancer does. It nurtures. It thinks of how can I take care of others before I take care of myself. And I think that's a little bit of a hiccup, because when you take care of yourself, you literally are teaching those that you love how to nurture themselves. And when they know how to nurture themselves, they're not vulnerable to the outside world, making sure their needs are met. So let's see where this precarious decision that you might have to make, or this where you may have to go deep into your heart and your intuitive body versus your analytical body. Our first angel is Archangel Michael, asking you to have the courage to make the life changes that you need to make in order to have what you want. Merlina, I'm not sure she's about confusion. We'll have to see what happens. Oh, and then we have Celeste, which could mean a job change. And then we have Sonia. Nope, I don't think so. Let me see. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. All right. Cancer, Archangel Michael's being joined by the Letting Go card. Merlina's being joined by the Novice. Celeste is being joined by the Cow. And Sonia is being joined by Merlin. I want to say this to you. Cancer, you have had Pluto opposing you for quite some time, since 2008. And if you, wherever you are, you can have no planets in that house. You still have Cancer somewhere. So wherever it is in your chart, Pluto's been putting some sort of opposition there. I don't have any planets in the fourth house at all, which is really indicative of me not having any family. But it's also rewritten what I want in the way of family and brought me family in new ways. I believe that the Letting Go card is going right back to what we were saying for Gemini, that this is about really allowing yourself to get some distance from your fears and to step just one small foot at a time towards what it is you want, to continue to have the courage to follow an intuitive knowing. We have Merlina saying that you may be confused because this is a new idea for you. This Novice is skill without practice. So because I think it has something to do with getting a new job and moving yourself into a new home. And will you be able to sustain yourself? And the cow is all about nourishment. And here, Celeste, I could go into shifting the way you're thinking, but I don't think I want you thinking. I think I want you intuiting. I feel like I'm wanting you to feel from your heart chakra than up here in your head, because Sonia is talking about your team, your deceased loved ones, and your team that watches over you. And Merlin is offering alchemy, justice, and balance. When I moved into my apartment in Laguna Beach, the conditions were awful. It was so Plutonian. I had moved to North Carolina. I moved home. It was a complete mess that year and a half I was in North Carolina. Then I end up living in my brother-in-law's mother's bedroom. I got a job in a bakery, having to get up at 4:00 in the morning to be there by 5. I mean, it was just everything I hated. Everything I owned got stolen in the move back from North Carolina. And all of that divine disruption brought me to my place in Laguna. And not because I was suddenly bestowed an apartment, but because I got pissed off. And I said to the universe, I'm tired of all this SH, you know what? And I want to live in Laguna Beach. I want to work from home. I want to be able to do my spiritual work. And sure enough, they brought me an opportunity to move into this apartment. When that opportunity came, I could not physically afford it. But I heard Spirit say, you can't afford not to take it. Cancer, something is happening for you that is coming in a very intuitive level. And part of your opportunity right now is to allow yourself to open up to the idea that if you step through that doorway, you get on that particular pathway, the universe will continue to support you and you will grow in abundance, both in your wallet and in your heart chakra. And I feel as if this is really up to you to start to take little teeny weeny steps towards this so you can get a sense of security. But this cannot happen without your participation. And that's why they're asking you to believe a little bit in magic and to trust your team. Because you have a team. They're just not allowed to move you around. They're only allowed to coach your moves. It's kind of like watching The Worst Cooks in America when Anne has to say, I can't touch anything. I can't taste anything. I've taught you everything. Now you need to go practice it. Okay, Leo, are you ready? Okay, Leo. This is a Knight of Pentacles. First thing you think when you see this is, I think of Taurus. I think slow and steady. I think this guy's dependable, practical. He is good with money. Let's see what they want you to know here. My progressed sun is up in Sagittarius, right up at the last degrees of Sagittarius. Then it's going to move into Saturn, and I'm going to turn into the oldest woman overnight. My hair will go gray. All right, Leo, our first angel is Bethany, self-care. The second is Francesca. The third is Archangel Gabriel, and the final is Adriana. All right, Leos, don't be mad at me when I say this, but now I'm thinking maybe there's some stubborn energy attached to this. Let's look and see. Because it's, we don't want to be stubborn to our detriment, meaning we don't want to make a case for our lack. Because Bethany is all about self-care, and then we've got some negative loop of thought going on, and Spirit's trying to walk you out of it. Lucy Rose, your North Node is at 29 degrees Leo. That's on Regulus. That's on Regulus. That's the royal star. Dude, are you rich? Are you a queen? Because you should be. Okay, both. Bethany is being joined by the frog. This is all about cleaning up your mind. And I want to offer it this way, because this is, here we're seeing this little theme with this Gemini full moon. Do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And it doesn't mean that you can't be right, but how do I want to express myself? Because I don't think stubbornness is going to be working for you. Francesca is being joined by the mystery card. Archangel Gabriel is joining with the Baird. And Adriana's the communications card. Okay, I'm just going to be really nice, okay? This is all about how you think, Leo. And I know you're a fixed sign as well. But if you've got a story, and it could be a true story, it could be really true. But is it serving you now? Because this is time to give yourself a break, to stop thinking about the things that have, from 10, 20, 50 years ago. Because Francesca says, are you going to focus on negativity? Because you got to make the choice not to do that, because it's blocking your progress. Literally says, what do you desire right now? Visualize that, because negativity will block your progress. Now, if you're feeling it so deep in a certain thought, don't try to think positively. That's like gasoline on a fire. But what you can do is, everything's working out for me. Everything's working out for me, and I'm willing to tell a new story. Thank you, Spirit, for giving me the motivation, the inspiration, and the experiences that allow me to believe that new story. Because here's Archangel Gabriel seriously talking about your communications, and here is the Baird. And I want to offer this to my Leos, because whatever you could be stuck in could actually be the very seedlings of a creative project that gets you unstuck. And when you focus away from the stuck and into what does this have to offer me, then things open up, because something is going on with the way you're communicating to yourself. This is the communications card. This is Adriana saying she's leading you to the answers to your prayers. And it may be that I want to release myself from an old story, and I'm having trouble doing it. An old story of lack, an old story of no value, an old story of, oh my God, if I'm happy, it's going to disappear. That's the main thing I think is going on right now. There's so much fear. These commercials on TV, they don't use if, they use when. So when your heart does this, when you have an attack, when your kidneys, that's not going to happen with me anymore, because I'm not going to go there. Mute. And so I really feel like, Leo, this is a good time to root in the earth a opportunity for you to take your old story and transform it into something magical, truly magical. And I want to offer it too, that if you watch any of these shows like The Voice or these singing competitions, they always have a package, right? And the package is always about some hardship that character, that contestant had to go through, and the triumph of that. And that's how the audience gets behind them, or their story is they're the young kid, and so they need the help. You can completely transform, like Chiron. You can transform your wound and turn it into a gift, but you can't be stubborn about holding on to the wound. All right, here we go. Oh, did I pick on you? Just call me C. I don't want you to feel picked on. Oh. But if you do, I'm sorry. All right, Virgo. This is an interesting card, the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is one of the very few cards that doesn't have a character in it. I think it might be the only card that doesn't have any living characters in it whatsoever. It is very mercurial. It rules news and information, and it rules conclusions. Sometimes people call conclusions endings, because they've come. I think this is something to do with the full moon. Let's look. All right, here we go. Virgo rising. Moon, Sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Archangel Raphael. The second is Ariel. The third is Patience. And the final is Sonia. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Goblin. Ariel is being joined by the Partnership card. Patience is being joined by the Movement card. And Sonia is being joined by the Protection card. Well, this is interesting. We're talking about having a full moon this week. We're talking about Mercury moving into Capricorn on the same day as the full moon. We have Venus following a few days later. Both will square Jupiter at some point. And this could very well, bring up ideas about what are my beliefs about myself, and what are my beliefs about my body, my stress level, my physical body, and on some level, am I working myself too thin? Am I running the tank on fumes? And that might be the conclusion you're coming to, is that I'm not going to be good to anybody if I don't take care of me, because there's an epiphany coming. And I kind of felt like when I looked at this, that rather than it being physical health, it felt like mental stress. Like, like there's a part of me that I've got deadlines to meet, I've got obligations, I've got things to do. And now I'm just feeling like I'm not running my own life anymore. Like as if I'm having to just, because I feel like this partnership card has to do with partnering with spirit. Really, I think sometimes when you're overwhelmed, the best thing you can do is to stop, disconnect for a minute, and then give yourself time to figure out what's the next most important thing for me to get done, and just start, just because this patience is about studying, gathering information, observing yourself, and here's movement. And I feel like there's this opportunity that, when we're young, we are like on the road to achievement. Let's, climb that ladder and achieve. And then we get to be a certain age, and we're like on some sort of loop, and we forget, or we don't even address the idea that maybe it isn't about just making sure that our work is taken care of, but what about us? People talk about, saving for retirement, but they don't talk about what's my physical body going to be like when I'm in retirement. Am I going to feel spry? Am I going to feel excited? I'm going to be sitting around nursing my aches and my pains. Because I think right now there is something going on with this full moon, even though it's not in your sign, it's kind of in your sister sign, Gemini, because you're both ruled by Mercury. So I think you're going to have some sort of epiphany about how you've been edging God out. That's what this goblin card says to me. And in doing so, you're going to come more in alignment with what you truly need and what you truly want. You're going to start telling spirit that. You're going to start observing your own actions and if they're aligned to where you want to go. And I believe you're going to start to do that, because you're going to start to feel a real protection from the other side. And I want to offer it this way, because when I've been walking through my own path of scarcity lately, and of really wondering about my value out in the world, I've literally said to spirit, I see the signs you're giving me, and I see that you're trying to support me, and my humanness isn't really being able to take it in right now. So help me to take it in, please. I want to end all this nonsense of scarcity. I want to end all this nonsense of feeling vulnerable to influences that are just human made. I want to feel more connected to my team on the other sides. I want to represent those 12 divine universal laws and implement them in my life so that I can thrive, and people can experience me and make a choice if they want to give it a go. And I think this is what's going on for my Virgos, because I feel like this conclusion is an epiphany. Like, here we have Mars right next to this moon. And if somebody in your workplace pisses you off or is taking advantage of you, and they just put one more straw on that camel's back, in your head, you may not act out in the real world, but you may on the inside, and you'll be like, no more. And you'll be fine. Just take one step at a time and breathe. It's really, really scary when other humans tell you, you have to know how you're going to do something. You have to effort in order to achieve. Spirit will never tell you that. Spirit will tell you to relax, slow down. How does it feel? And then I go flowy. It feels like a little river lapping down. It comes to me easily. It feels effortless. It feels divine. It feels inspiring. These are the words that you want to try to use, because if you go, if you get too human on human for your happiness, you're on a slippery slope. Implosion, that's a good word. Okay. Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This is a lovely card. This is the 9 of Cups. This is self-satisfaction. That's the very first. Oh, welcome, Mikey. Thank you. So glad you're able to be here. Welcome from Germany. Okay, Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I happen to know my sister and I have opposite charts, okay? I'm an Aries rising and a Libra sun. She is a Libra rising and a Leo sun. So her 9th house is Gemini. So I know that off the top of my head, but this is a card of self-satisfaction. This is a card where you have started to line up your cups. If you look at the card, there's a real predominance of orange and yellow and the blue. And the orange and the yellow is my sacral chakra, my wants and my desires. The yellow is my power and my ability to create them. And the blue is my talk. So I think that there is something going on. We won't even mention the red hat being, having my sense of survival comes from my thoughts on top of his head. I think this is about Libra feeling like I'm in process. I got all my cups in a row. I'm totally ready for spirit to start to deliver. And now I'm just going to sit and bask in it for a minute. I'm not going to jump up and do the next thing. I'm going to enjoy all that I have created. And I'm going to feel good about that. So here we go. Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Sweet talker DJ, Mercury and Libra. You would talk, people would be hanging on your very, very words. And you would speak like I would imagine. It would be like a great piece of chocolate. Not too sweet, but because I don't like white chocolate, I like dark chocolate. Okay, here we go. Libra. Our first angel is Vanessa. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Daniel. And the final is Athena. Hey, CJ. Good to see you. All right, Libra. Vanessa is being joined by the cow. Thank you. Archangel Michael is being joined by the wealth card. Double thank you. The Lady of the Lake is joining Daniel. And Athena is being joined by the transformational death card. Okay, so as a Libra sun, I've been squared by Pluto. I'm an Aries rising, squared by Pluto. My Mars is right next to my sun, so that's being squared now. And I've been in a moment. I'll tell you, I've created a great life for myself, and all of a sudden, I thought it was all going to dissipate and fall apart. I was going to die. The South Node is going over my Mercury. It's about to hit my Neptune. It's all very exciting. And I've decided I'm not going to give in to all these lower ideas. Some of our astrology friends, God bless their souls, they really look at the dark side of these planets. And I'm looking at transformation. I'm thinking, you know what? My vibration is changing. I'm seeking a more broad experience for myself. I'm shifting my work dynamic. And so I get to sort of enjoy this process a little bit more, to really look and say, it isn't about where I'm going, but about the journey of getting there. And am I happy with myself as I do that? Because the cow offers abundance, nourishment, asking and receiving. And there's Vanessa encouraging you to have faith in your decisions, Libra, to trust what you've been amassing, to trust that it wasn't that what you're amassing in the physical, but what you're amassing through your thoughts. Because Archangel Michael is telling you to have the courage to move towards those harmonious thoughts, the thoughts that everything's working out for me. Anything that leaves my life is opening a space for something much more aligned to the new version of me and the things that make me happy. Because Daniel in the angel's advice is going to be my history with humans. My intimate history with humans, the people that I have loved, that I have thought loved me, the people that I have on some level, I've depended upon them and found my value through this relationship. And now it's time to put yourself first. Now it's time, if these were crappy, if these relationships left their mark. Now is time to say that mark empowers me. It reminds me of how powerful and how harmonious I want my life to be. And while I might be going through a bit of a storm, the emotional body is down here with all this Neptunian water. Her hair is flying. We've got a full moon coming, people. This is going to be really, really big with Mars next to it. It's not just a full moon like any other month. So here, Libra's holding her truth ever so effortlessly. And even while that's happening, we see this red ribbon. The red represents the base chakra. So somehow everything will be fine if I just let it flow. And I don't focus too much on my history, but I have the courage to focus on what feels like wealth. And when I talk about wealth, I really not talking about money in the bank. I'm talking about feeling safe as I walk around. Talking about feeling like my body's going to be good. I can enjoy my life, that the universe has my back. Because here is Athena saying it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself, and this is your ultimate transformation. It's this transformation. These, I think of Cancer and Libra. They square each other, and yet there are so much synastry with their loving their relationships, the nurturing aspect of it. And these are the two signs and maybe Pisces as well, that gets a little bit, you don't put yourself first, and then you're hoping that the other side is going to put you first. And I think that's where this is going to. When you take care of you and you have faith that you allow yourself to be abundant, that you do a certain amount of individuality within the me's, the two me's making a we, then I think you're really going to start to feel a sense of divinity, a sense of wisdom through what you've experienced up until now. And rather than trying to polarize it, throw bad things out and have only good things come in, Libra will really see that the only way to feel harmony is to be able to be flexible on this journey of up and down. Yes and no, yin and yang, peanut butter and jelly. That's how the world rolls. So I think there's a real opportunity for you to start to assert yourself and feel a transformation and a sense of empowerment within your own life. I think sometimes, Libra has a real reputation for not being very confrontational. And I used to laugh because I used to say, well, I'm a Libra and I'm very confrontational. I didn't know about my Aries rising when I was a young girl, or I didn't know what it meant. So I think that is that sense of, I feel like what I'm trying to say is that you'll feel very satisfied with yourself as you pursue the things you want, but you also find a new voice. Venus rules the voice. So I'm able to communicate to you without lessening my position or giving away my power or deferring in some way. I'm just as important as everything else. So there's two things going on here. It's a sense inside myself, and then whatever you're feeling inside starts to manifest in the outside world. I will say that, if you're talking about the wagon of good health and eating well, ever since Thanksgiving, I've felt like I've been a little bit more into my sweets, my Petridge Farm double dark chocolate Milanos that have sat in the refrigerator just long enough so the chocolate's nice and hard. God, I can eat a half bag of those in one sitting. All right, Scorpio, our final sign. Here we go. Are you ready? The Knight of Swords. Okay. First thing I want to say for my Scorpios is Mars is your co-ruler. The co-ruler of your sign is right up on this moon. And again, I'm going to repeat, if you want to check out that video, I did a separate video on the moon. It's very specific. But here, this charging ahead, there's a very assertive, almost angry energy here. Let's look and see what Spirit's trying to say, because I think maybe you might miss something if you move too fast. Woo! Well, all right, we'll have Celeste. She just popped right out. Then we have Archangel Raphael. We have Maya. And then we have Oceana. So I want to offer this. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stones. The South Node going through your first house could very much make you kind of dig very deep into your own psychology about, your own motivations, where you're giving up your power or you're over asserting yourself. And I feel almost as if now when I look at this night, that once you have this epiphany, you have this realization, you may be like, I so want to get over this. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want this part of me in me anymore. I want to get rid of it. Celeste is being joined by the burden card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the bee. Maya is being joined by the death card. And Oceana is being joined by the earth fairy. I want to offer it this way too, because, there is a feeling when the South Node transits something, the first thing people say is there's an excretion of some kind. There's toxic waste that is removed. There is loss. What does Scorpio represent? Toxicity, and so I believe that rather than feeling a diminishment within yourself as far as your own vitality, now is an opportunity to kind of go back to some of the feelings you have that have angered you, because again, the swords are always thoughts, and these are angry thoughts moving very quickly and kind of wanting to take no prisoners. I mean, I wouldn't want to be where this guy's going. Like, if he's coming towards me, I'm afraid, right? So here we have Celeste talking about new happiness. Those of you that have watched me for a long time, you know that I talk often. You can put my physical body anywhere on this planet. I have a certain belief system, and I'm going to operate on that. So now, Scorpio, my fixed sign of psychology, of the depths of the human experience, the Scorpio recognizes the ego so incredibly quickly and deeply. Scorpio can walk into a room and profile the whole room and probably be 90% right, never having met anyone. So now it's time to kind of look into your own thoughts. And it may be a bit of a burden right now, because you may be, again, right about certain situations, but are they serving you? Can this full moon in some ways put whatever experiences you've had where you felt that people were taking advantage of you, or they were toxic, or the situation was toxic, now allow yourself to be liberated by it, because the bee offers good luck as you have this epiphany. And I think this epiphany makes me feel more like, it's going to have a ripple effect, because if you're not focused on angry thoughts, your body's going to start to respond differently. And I think that's what we're going to learn is Maya talks about schooling and education. Scorpio rules transformation. So to me, this is a real death of anything that doesn't. This is my opportunity. And so I'm not looking at death in a negative way. I'm looking at it in a very transformational way. There are certain stories that I have imprinted into my physical being at a cellular level that I don't think are really applicable anymore, but they do come up every once in a while, and I have a real hard time with them. But what I do know is if I'm ever going to feel grounded, if I'm ever going to feel a sense of balance in this earth, it's because I spend time meditating. I spend time looking at my emotional body, and not from a place of where I've been hurt, where I've been, where I'm telling an old story, but now how do I want to take that information and transform it? It's not easy, but those that have been hurt others. And when you're the object or the target of their hurt, it's hard to see that. You would think to yourself, well, if that happened to you, why would you perpetrate it on somebody else? But that's what the human does unconsciously. They get so focused on their pain. So I think for my Scorpios, you've been on that axis, right? We just had the eclipse axis was on the Taurus Scorpio, or the eclipse was on the Taurus Scorpio axis. And, we had the full moon, and we had the other moon. Thank you, Michelle. That's so kind of you. Oh, I feel so much love when you guys do stuff like that. But I want to offer it this way, because you got eclipses coming up. We're going to revisit some of these points. And when these come back up, I think these are the opportunities to really have that death turn into new life. I think that's when we get to be the butterfly versus the caterpillar. So I think this is going to give you a feeling of groundedness within your emotional body versus sort of, I want to say fighting with yourself. That's how I wanted to put it. Like you're fighting with yourself because some of the things that you know on an intuitive level, you just might not like the way they play out. Hey, Les, so good to see you. It's been a while. So I think that this week is going to be really interesting because I think when we have the change in signs for Mercury and Capricorn, it's going to be a bit jarring. So if you can remember that, and if you suddenly feel like, oh, everything's so expensive. I literally went in the market one day and the tomatoes were $3.99. The next day they were $5.99. I'm like, just stop already. Stop. So yeah. So my Scorpios, be gentle with yourself. You know, it's the beginning of your new solar year. And if you're having trouble with your thoughts, just thank Spirit and all that is. Say, thank you for giving me the kind of thoughts that serve where I want to go. Because right now I'm a little scared. Oh my goodness, TJ, thank you so much. Michelle, look at those colors they gave you. Total like sacral chakra and power chakra colors. I'm so incredibly appreciative of that. I love that. Stop the madness with the money going up. I love money going up. Yay. All right, everybody. I hope you're liking the new content. As I said, CJD was the one who inspired me with the shorts. So I've been doing those. And as I said, there are Abraham quotes coming up. So I hope you find those helpful. I'm going to be doing some more like not teaching astrology so much, but I think I'm going to start to try to give you guys tools to maneuver the transits, such as how to find yourself in a spot of appreciation when you're walking through some sort of divine disruption. So I think I'm going to focus a little bit on that this week, and that all is well. So thanks everybody for being here. Oh, you guys, I'm so blessed. Thank you so much. Katerina, thank you for being here. You're always the almost number one in the room. So I love that. So thank you all for being here. And I'm going to say, see you next Sunday. Have a great full moon. Be gentle with yourself. And you know what? I'll tell you this too. If you can take Wednesday off, if you can just not be out in the masses of the world and enjoy Wednesday a little bit, it might be good for you. You know, that full moon might be with that Mars conjunction, might just be easier to stay in familiar surroundings with people that complement you versus rub up against you. All right, everybody, I'll see you next Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll still be in Sagittarius season. So have a beautiful week. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sending so much love to you. Peace